Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen, I always have a tough time saying gentlemen, unless I'm pronouncing gentlemen. I don't know what that is. Something wrong with my palate or the shape of my face. So welcome to the pre-show. As a couple of you are gathering in the YouTube chat room, we don't go live. As you know, many of you who are newer listeners over on the Facebook streams, we don't go live until 4 minutes and 25 seconds after the hour. So I don't start the show. I don't run the credits even till then. So I just get set up. I got to make sure that our stream is connecting. Boom. I got a little, I got to put in a headset tonight. All I got is these neon green headsets of my daughters because my kids steal all my stuff. Hang on, I got to turn the screen so I can get to the back side. There. Boom. All right. If it seems like an inauspicious beginning of the show and you're new here, that's only because we haven't started broadcasting the show yet. You're just getting to see the setup. There. Now I got a little headset action going. Hey, folks over in the chat room. Leslie Holker, thank you, as usual. Wow. Matthew Sainsbury says, wow, Leslie, nice support. Well, I appreciate that, and you know I do. We've had many conversations, and many times you've done stuff like this, and I appreciate it. Uncle Dave Potter is in the room, and Matthew Sainsbury from Barbados. Well, that's not how they talk in Barbados, but Barbados man. Barbie D, good to see you. Sarah Yusuf, good to see you as well. What do we got? We got 2 minutes and 40 seconds after the hour. So we got a couple of minutes to kill, almost a couple of minutes to kill. So there we go. And we're ready. Everything is so automated now on this broadcast. I got to click one button and boom, ready to roll. We got a good guest tonight, a fun guest. This will be fun to talk about Star Trek from somebody who has way more knowledge than me on the topic, despite my, I'll say that in the show too, despite my having been a Star Trek fan and a self-acclaimed aficionado for 50 years. So I saw my first Star Trek episode in whatever year Shore Leave came out. I saw that show playing on the Old Man Who Lived Next Door's TV when my mom went over to visit him, and I watched that episode. I think I was 7 years old at the most, and it was the first run of Shore Leave. All right, guys, we got about 20 seconds, and we go live. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go dark. And remember to stick around after the show is over in an hour for the captain's cabin. Let's go dark.
Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
I love that new opener, but as Matthew Finn says over in the chat room, Master Finn, Master and Commander of the chat room, he says, "Oh, you going to war or something?" And not quite yet, but I enjoy that music. I want to welcome everybody who's listening right now over on Odyssey Radio. That's where this show broadcasts in its audio format via the radio station. That's Odyssey, ODYSY radio.com. Go over and see all the goodness that's Odyssey Radio and find all the times where this show is repeated the next day in archive. So make a point of going over there and checking it out. Also, this show simulcasts in 4 different places now. 3 of them on YouTube, one on my 3 of them on Facebook, one of them on my YouTube channel. And so that's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. You can join the chat room and the fellow Intrepids that are already over there talking up a storm. So fist bumps 44 times, says Matt Finn over there in the chat room. Donna Reese-Ivy, Sarah Yusuf, Remeldian, Barbie D, Field Guy, all of you gathering. Thanks for being here. Everyone be sure to stick around when the show goes off the air at 56 minutes and 25 seconds after the top of the hour. And we'll stick around in the YouTube chat room and the Facebook chat rooms and our video simulcasts. So it was a hot day today again. We've been having quite the heat wave up here in the Great White North. And it is, I think I've made it to 104 degrees again today and high humidities. So you come in from outside of that into the air conditioning, and all of a sudden you gotta make sure you're not showing off your even guys. Yes, guys get nipple erection. And sometimes it's like walking through the frozen foods market. So tonight, I have a fun guest tonight. And not that our other guests aren't fun, but this is a more fun, a funner diversion from everything else. And we're going to talk about Star Trek tonight with Stuart Foley of TREKYARDS. And I'm going to bring him in. Oh, and by the way, I'll just show him when I bring him in. Let's bring him in right now. Stuart, welcome to the program, brother.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you. Let's see. Let me make sure we're lined up correctly here. There we go. So the screen gets all wonky when I change. I wore this especially for you today.
I saw that.
My
I
wife
regret my shirt choice then.
Yes. My wife made that. She does all the imprinting stuff here. So Stuart, here's what I'm going to do. I want you to introduce yourself. I didn't ask you to send me a bio. I've watched you for years. I've looked at your TREKYARDS on YouTube for years. Tell people what you're all about, why you got into doing what you're doing, and what it is they can go see.
Well, as you said, my name is Stuart Foley, but most people know me as Captain Foley. And me and my, co-host, co-creator, Commander Calkins, we have a YouTube web series called TREKYARDS, which is a weekly YouTube series. We've done weekly content. It's going to be going on 7 years in October now. So we actually created the web series before there was any new Trek on the horizon. Sure, JJ's 2009 existed, but there was no word of discovery, nothing like that. We just love Trek, and we decided we'd make a show that we'd want to watch ourselves and maybe learn some things, because Samuel, Commander Calkins, he is over in the UK, and he just turned 29. I'm here in Canada, London, Ontario, Canada, and I just turned 47. So I have a different array of knowledge of Star Trek, plus a lot of the old beta canon books. And both him and I are both very big fans of ships and tech, specifically from Star Trek. So that's basically what our channel started out as. And now we're just all encompassing. We review all the new shows and even the old shows and just talk Trek all the time, multiple times a week.
Now, being 47 years old, what was the first Trek that you encountered as a kid?
Everybody asks me that, and I don't remember. because both my brothers were
Oh, and I
Trekkies.
wanted to
was
be
born-
original. Look at that.
I know, right? I was born in '74, so Trek had already been around for a while when I was born. And I don't remember the first thing I ever watched because I just grew up with it. It was just always in my life. My brothers, were always watching Star Trek or, playing Star Trek in the backyard or building Star Trek models. So it's just always been a part of my life. And it's just something that I can't imagine not having. I don't think I can go a whole day without saying Star Trek. I think I've said it every day for my entire life. So
I am about the same way. I make Star Trek references and everything. I do tarot readings on the side. I've been doing those for 40 years. And I was giving somebody a tarot reading yesterday, and Star Trek references came up in my mind twice. And I said, I've got to tell you this. I said, because it's coming to my mind. So there's probably something good to get out of this. And I used it as an example. So I use Star Trek references with my wife. So she gets tired of it. But now she was a Next Generation baby. She wasn't born until 1980. I was born in 1960, and I grew up on the original. And the original, I got to tell you, you are on very shaky ground with me if you ever insulted Captain Kirk or the Enterprise, or I felt like James doing Scotty in the original series episode. I think it was Trouble with Tribbles, where he gets into the fight at the space station, and Kirk questions him. He says, "So when did you start the fight?" He says, "Well, they called the Enterprise a garbage scowl or something like that." And he says, "So you didn't start the fight when they insulted me, but when they insulted the Enterprise." So of course, I don't remember the dialogue there, but
we're kindred
so
spirits.
that's the way I was as a kid.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So we're kindred spirits in that regard. And it's funny because my wife, she was born in '83. She's 10 years younger than me, and she's a huge TNG fan as well, and big into Deep Space Nine. And she kind of got me more into Deep Space Nine, and now Deep Space Nine is, like, I would say arguably one of my favorite Star Trek series. So that's a long story.
Well, tell us a tip of the iceberg about it. Why is that your favorite series?
Well, originally I hadn't watched all of Deep Space Nine when I first met my wife. Usually I'd catch it on TV, and I'd always catch the last half of an episode, and it was usually in the not so great episodes. She made me sit down and watch it front to back, and I just love the little bit darker vibe to it, plus the serialized storytelling mixed with episodic, and the characters are just so great. I love Kirk as much as everybody else, but I think Sisko is probably my favorite captain. So I don't know what it is about Deep Space Nine. There's something about it that feels real. It's kind of based on, real history, like World War II and stuff. You just swap out different aliens for, whatever. And I think that really helps with the storytelling. It's very, very layered and just a well put together media. So
yes, I liked, and I've actually used this in illustration form when I've done public speaking before. Unrelated to Star Trek was Sisko in that very first episode of Deep Space Nine, where was it the not the emissary? I wasn't as into Deep Space Nine. I didn't attach myself to it as avidly as I did the other series, but he was being shown his wife's death on board one of the other starships with the war with the Borg, and the question was asked of him. He's standing in his own bridge or the command center, and they said, "If you exist here," and then it would switch, and he's on the burning bridge watching his wife die. "Why do you exist here?" And I thought that was very poignant, and I've used that by way of illustration in the past. I would say my favorite series was obviously the original, and I had my issues with Discovery. Wasn't a big fan of Discovery at first, although I liked it. You know why? It was Star Trek. So I watched it and I enjoyed it. And it was in the second season when they introduced Pike and Spock that I found, whoa, now this is really getting real for me. And then, of course, I said the highlight of season 2 of Discovery was it the last episode or the second to last episode, where it was almost this anticipation building of the reveal of the interior of the Enterprise, the new bridge.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, and that did it for me. And then we started seeing all kinds of hints and articles and things being written of they're building these flashy new sets for the Enterprise. Could this mean, would they invest this much if they weren't going to do something more with it? And so that's where we all started kind of building hope. Are they going to do a Pike series or something? So let's jump right into Strange New Worlds, or maybe start with your take on Discovery and then the introduction of Pike and Spock. What'd you think of all that? What was your reaction as a Trek fan and aficionado?
Well, the funny thing is, because we review like new trailers, we review new episodes, all that stuff is documented on our channel, all of our first reactions. We were quite excited going into Discovery because it was a new Trek series. I mean, I will watch anything Star Trek. That's one of the things we like to focus on at TREKYARDS, is the good and the bad in all Star Trek, because it's all got its good and it's all got its bad. So Discovery, the Klingons, you know, things like that didn't quite work for us, just because they say it's prime timeline, yet it's very reimagined and almost feels rebooted. And that's not what they're saying it is. They're saying it's prime canon. So we got a little bit of some issues with that. But overall, and I gotta say, Discovery is, out of all the new Star Treks that are on right now, and there's quite a few, Discovery is probably one of our least favorites for multiple reasons. But overall, I did enjoy seeing new Star Trek. Some of the characters were fantastic. I've actually become good friends with Anthony Rapp, who plays Stamets. Because they were actually, it's funny, because they were actually watching our show on set. Anthony Rapp loved watching our prediction videos as to what would happen next week and see how much we got wrong and stuff. And Mary Shifo, who played L'Rell, the Klingon lady, she watched all of our Klingon content to kind of study for the role. So they already knew who we were on set, which is awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so getting to know those people was pretty awesome. But honestly, Discovery is very hit and miss, probably a few more misses, especially in the first couple seasons. But bringing in Pike and Spock was exciting. The fans loved it. The fans requested that they do a Pike series. And they actually, to their credit, listened to the fans. And amazingly, Strange New Worlds is here now. And it is the best of the new era of Star Trek. Aside from the animated, like Lower Decks and Prodigy are very good as well.
Lower Decks is pretty good. Prodigy was excellent.
Yeah, exactly. But out of the live action,
what do you know about Prodigy? Are they going to do another season?
Yeah, they're not even done season one
Prodigy
yet. Yeah, Prodigy has 20 episodes in seasons. They wrote 40 episodes. So season 1 has 20 episodes. Season 2 has 20 episodes, and they've only done 10. They've only done the first half of season 1. And it's funny too, Aaron Waltke, one of the main producers on that show, he is also a huge TREKYARDS fan and has been for years. So he's done an interview with us, and him and Mike McMahon from Lower Decks, we did an interview with Mike McMahon and his team, and he said, we actually, you guys are awesome because TREKYARDS holds us to task. We always ask, what's TREKYARDS going to say about this? Are they going to like it, or are they or did we do it wrong? So to get that kind of feedback from the showrunners is absolutely awesome. I think,
just as an example, I just today at some point went over and I was gleaning some information from TREKYARDS, and I watched your episode. I had it playing while I was doing other things here on the new props for Strange New Worlds, the phasers compared to the Discovery phaser, compared to the original phaser. You guys, folks, if you want to hear detail, these guys spent well over an hour talking about these props, the tricorders, the phasers, the communicators, and all of this, and how they're compared to each other in the different series. So I appreciated that detail. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's what we pride ourselves on. Like, our content is not like a hater channel or a, everything's great channel.
Which is good.
Our speciality is the ships and the tech. So when we see a new piece of equipment, especially the one that's supposed to be emulating something else, we do comparisons of them. We break down how it looks and what they got right and what they could have maybe done better. We go into a lot of depth, especially with the ships and the tech. It's one of the things that people really like about TREKYARDS. So if you're into ships and tech,
yes,
we're the place to be.
I will say about Strange New Worlds, folks, for those of you who have not seen that yet, like Leslie Holker, one of our biggest supporters on this radio show, you have not seen any Star Trek since The Voyage Home. That was 1984 or 85, somewhere right in there. That's a long time to have not seen any new episodes. Leslie, have you not seen any of the Next Generation, which ran for years? So I'm just saying, Leslie, if you haven't seen anything, it's okay to jump right into Strange New Worlds. Go ahead and take a look at that. Now, Stuart, I was going to ask you about this, and I saw this, of course, advertised about the show. It's going to be, they said, more episodic. They're abandoning the huge season-long story arc and going back to the more original format of Star Trek, the episodic adventures, which I really like. There are still elements that carry, of course, because you're developing characters, you're developing things that have happened to Pike and so on. Those have to carry over from episode to episode, but I love the episodic nature of the show. And I got to tell you, I really enjoyed the one, even though it broke with canon a bit. I'm not a huge stickler on that. There's some things you just got to do. At least they didn't do what J.J. Abrams did, which was create a whole new universe and timeline. I wasn't too fond of that, but I still enjoyed the movies. But I enjoyed the episode that was supposed to be their venture into horror, and that was the one with the Gorn that just played. That was the second to the last episode of this season, I think.
Yeah,
well, the first part of this season, anyway. So, what are your thoughts? Just want to pick your brain about it.
Yeah, that one, they just basically turned the Gorn into mindless killing machines and basically xenomorphs from Alien. And, we saw the Gorn captain from Arena, and there's a lot of beta canon over the years, like the game Starfleet Command, the Starfleet Command games, the Starfleet Battles games, FASA. They've all gone in and fleshed out the Gorn pretty extensively. So for them to actually just change it, and they even said it's breaking visual canon to do what they did. We're hoping that there might be an explanation for that. It's a failed experiment or something along those lines. But yeah, we were kind of disappointed with the Gorn. It was a great horror episode. I just wish it wouldn't have been the Gorn. I wish it would have been any other kind of unknown alien. But
something else, other than an established race.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, canon we find
it's kind of how important. I felt when I
was going to say canon. We find it very important just because it's using the universe. Yes, I understand when you create shows that either are prequels or whatever, sometimes you have to bend a rule here or there as far as canon go. But some of the just outright, dismissing of it is a little bit annoying. But it's one of those things. You just got to roll with the punches and go with it. So.
Let's see, what was I going to say about that? I was reading a comment in there in the chat room, but I was going to say something else about that. Breaking of canon is that, something that really, and I know there's a lot of talk about this. None of this makes me hate Trek, though, or hate producers or hate writers. it's all creative, and I get it. I understand that, but there is, well, I will say too, because I saw somebody just mentioned Kirk and Cybok and so on. I was not enthralled with the new Captain Kirk from the season finale.
You're not the
He
only
didn't.
one. You're not the only one.
He didn't strike me as Kirk.
Yeah, he really makes you appreciate Chris Pine's performance in 2009 a lot
Oh,
better.
hell yeah!
But then the
I
rumor,
mentioned that Dave and I were talking about. Maybe you were in the chat room that night when we were talking about that. But Chris Pine, who did Star Trek Continues, his own series on the original Trek, played a much better Kirk,
no, that was
and
Vic
even looked
Mignogna.
the part. And his Vic Mignogna, yeah, Mignogna.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
He. Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
I was able to interview him once when we were doing Intrepid magazine years ago, and they were still producing Star Trek Continues. And the only thing I had to catch on with Vic was his voice is just a little higher. He's a little more tenor voice. And but then you totally forget that because he looks and plays the part so well.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him telling me, he says, when all my friends were buying boats and motorcycles and, stuff like that, he says, I just put all my money into building sets and doing this production. And so they did a fantastic job. And folks, if you haven't seen that, go to YouTube and look up Star Trek Continues, and you'll see what we're talking about. And
they basically fleshed out the last 2 years of that 5-year mission. So
yes. I loved when they revisited Mirror Mirror. And those of you who don't know Trek very well, Mirror Mirror was the mirror universe, where the one, if you remember, a lot of people remember it by this, when Spock had the goatee, that was the mirror universe. And so they picked it up right where the original series episode ended, with Spock beaming Kirk out back to his own universe and the others. So, but what I was going to say first before I saw that comment was one thing that's baffled me, again, not from a creative standpoint. I get it. I get what they have to do. But the whole Klingon change in Discovery really threw me. Now, they had already gone from the very Mongol-looking Klingons from the original series to the big foreheads with Worf and the Klingons of the Next Generation. Well, I guess those even came in the movies as well, and the original movies. So Star Trek, the motion picture, you saw it with the foreheads and the hair and all of that.
Yep.
And so they changed the Klingons. In Star Trek in 79, when they did the motion picture, we all got it. We went, okay, they finally have a movie budget. They're going to do some really cool things. And one of the things they did was change the Klingons. But they keep changing them. And now we haven't seen them yet, unless I missed something. We have not seen them yet in the Pike series, Strange New Worlds. Are we going to see them? How are they going to appear? Are they going to look like the Back to the Mongol Horde, or are they going to look like something completely different again?
Well, we've seen a leaked photo from season 2, and yes, they do appear. They have forehead ridges, just like TNG, only a little bit more subdued. And actually, the Klingons are interesting because in Enterprise, they explain the smooth heads in TOS as a genetic mutation, which was fantastically done. The only reason they were different for Discovery is because Brian Fuller, that was one of his directives, is he wanted the Klingons to be completely alien, so he changed the look. And then after he left the show, they had to go with what they had because everything was built, all the prosthetics were done. But there's lots of lore around that, and in beta canon as well. Like in TOS, the reason you see smooth-headed Klingons is because they were genetically altered to patrol the Federation neutral zone and blend in, so they weren't as obvious. And little known fact, on the Romulan border, There was Klingons that were surgically altered or genetically altered to look like Romulans for the very same reason. So I kind of like that. It's kind of that Cold War aspect. The
You see, I hadn't
aspect.
heard that.
Yeah, there's a lot of lore in
Right.
these books that I have behind me here. So,
in Strange New Worlds, not to give away any spoilers on this or anything like that, but you see the Romulans again in Strange New Worlds. They've stayed fairly close to the way we got used to seeing them in The Next Generation, where they are, in a sense, the cousins to the Vulcans, is the way they... I kind of wondered, way back in years, that they did that because that's what they had available for alien makeup, that they made the Romulans. What do you know about that? Anything intrinsic about that in detail? Why did they use the Vulcan look for the Romulans in the original series?
well, they had Mark Leonard play the role of the Romulan
You got
commander.
any information on that?
Yeah, he played Mark Leonard, the Romulan commander that played that role in Balance of Terror. They had him earlier for Journey to Babel as Spock's father, so they already had the ear castings for him and the prosthetics. So I think that's one of the main reasons that they did that. So yeah, I have no issue with that. I love that Vulcan Romulan split. It's created a lot of beta canon lore as well. So I mean, there's a lot of fantastic history that people filled the blanks in when we didn't have new Trek on the air, and that's what I grew up with. So that's like my canon. So when I see the new on-screen canon, it's kind of like, okay, it is on screen, it is official canon, but head canon.
Pardon me, I have children wandering in.
Oh,
so we almost got interrupted. So it's common, by the way, on this show. As professional as I try to be with this show, I still have, my 7-year-old daughter, my 10-year-old daughter. 10-year-old's starting to get it. The 7-year-old is like, I'm here, and she intrudes. So we have our familiar moments on the show.
I got a pug who snores and makes weird noises, and an 18-year-old in the other room who's yelling at his friends on his video games half the time when I'm doing lives. So
my 13-year-old son, almost 13-year-old son, his room is right upstairs from here, and sometimes I hear him going, "No!" just screaming and banging his feet, and I'm doing radio. So Ryan Gale over in the chat room asks a question about video games. He said, why have Trek video games traditionally been so bad? And he asks, there was a video game that was going to address the Romulan-Vulcan split, but it was canceled.
Yeah, The Secret of Vulcan Fury, written by DC Fontana. That game had trailers out. They had a whole promotional thing on cereal boxes. The game was all original audio by the original cast. They had cutscenes done. I did a complete captain's log video on TREKYARDS about that game, and it's a real shame that never got released because that story was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, video games, Star Trek, a hard one because there's the way that Star Trek tells stories, I think, is very hard to encapsulate into a game. Some of the best Star Trek games have been like tactical ship simulators and stuff, just because that speaks more to gameplay. When you get things like the 25th anniversary TOS game, which had a lot of puzzles, and you beam down to the planet, you had to solve a puzzle to get out of a room, and it doesn't really, that's not what Star Trek's really about. It's about those moral quandaries. It's about making those hard decisions, and it's a hard thing to encapsulate in a game, I think. But there's been some fantastic games over the years. There's been a ton of good games and even more bad ones, unfortunately. But
unfortunately, yes. No, I'm not a gamer. My son is. Both my sons have been. And it was just never anything I had time to do, so I never did it. Although I'll be fascinated sometimes and watch them do it. They play a lot of Star Wars games and stuff like that. So I saw a couple of things. There was one, and it wasn't really a game that I know of, but a piece of software I used to have that I suppose I could buy it now. Years ago, called. It had the bridge of the Enterprise, and I can't remember if there were other rooms or other bridges as well, but you could tour them and walk around the bridge and see all these different. What was it called? Captain's chair. Captain's chair.
Yeah.
I think it was called. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I am. I used to have that. I still do somewhere. It's in a bin downstairs somewhere. Now I missed that. Wow, I got to go get that out.
I've got a friend of mine who is called in. He's normally a guest on this show, and we talk with him. Good friend of mine, Ruben Fasthorse. I'm going to bring you in. I think he wants something he wants to ask you. Let me.
Sure.
You know what I'm going to do? I am going to drop the brand banner because it's just in the way right now. There we go. Ruben, how you doing, Misu?
Madaya, Captain Foley.
Oh, Captain Foley.
At ease.
No, I've been listening, and thank you, Chia, Scotty. Chia, in my language, and look, his older brother.
Oh,
I've got you. You're cutting out a little bit on your sound.
Yeah, it's hard to hear
Ruben.
you.
Is that better?
It started out with nothing. Try again. Just start talking again. Let's see if we can get you.
1, 2, 3.
It's like it's cutting out. Are you in sound activated?
I might be.
If you can touch that up a bit. You're muted now. I'm going to take you out of the window. Just stick around. I'll bring you back and give me a thumbs up when you're ready. All right. Let's get back to Stuart. I don't know if I had anything specific I was talking about there other than the video games because I've never really gotten into them. The captain's chair I enjoyed. I liked that simply for being able to walk around the bridge and do things like that. I thought that was excellent. What would you say, since you review all this stuff, what would you say is one of the best games out there right now for Star Trek?
Right now? Probably Bridge Crew. It's a VR game. You get 3 different ships you can command: the Enterprise D, the TOS Enterprise, and a JJ ship called the USS Aegis. And
is that the one you see all the advertisements for with the actors from the show?
No, that's a mobile game.
You see them sitting in different captain's chairs. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a mobile game. It's pretty garbage. But anyway, no, Bridge Crew is fun. I actually play it on my channel quite a bit. And you can be in the captain's chair, you can be at helm, you can be at tactical or engineering. So you get to see the different stations and you can swap stations. And in VR, it's amazing because you look around and it's the whole bridge just around you. It's really well done. But they haven't done an update or a DLC in a long time, and I don't know.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So there's a new one coming out too, coming out soon called Star Trek Resurgence, which is going to be really good. So other than that, there's no real new Star Trek games out except for mobile apps.
What's the new one coming out? We've got a little, I don't know if maybe it's my internet here. Maybe we're glitching on this side because I'm getting a little glitch in your video throughout the show so far. But we'll keep going. I'll let you know if it's a problem. Okay. What's the new game that's coming out?
It's called Star Trek Resurgence. It's going to be Resurgence. Yeah, it's going to happen around the events of, after Nemesis, after the events of Nemesis. So kind of a TNG era game. And it's about the return of the Talkin Empire. They were mentioned in like season 1 of TNG. So it's looking pretty good. It's going to be pretty awesome. I think it's from Telltale Games as well.
Cool. Well, now, what do you know? My go-to was always... Sorry, I got a fly in here. My go-to for Star Trek was always Dan Madsen, and I'm sure you know Dan Madsen.
Yes. He's
He's been a friend of mine for, 40 years now, probably. We met in 1982, and we've been friends ever since. He is actually, and everybody's heard this story, so I'm not going to tell the story, but he's the one who got me in to visit the Next Generation sets back in 94, which was a hell of a lot of fun. We were doing business out in L.A., selling animation properties to some animation studios. And so we're all in suits and ties, 94 double-breasted suits and ties and pocket squares and silks and things like that. And so he got us in at the end of the day, and we spent about an hour and a half walking around the sets, and I got to meet Patrick Stewart. Oh, hello. And so we had a good time with that. And so he was always my go-to guy. Now it sounds to me like you have become kind of the new tech side of the go-to on all of this. So you've got the actors will tune you in. You got directors or producers that tune you in. The writers tune you in to see what's going on. I don't want to ask a silly kind of trite question, but I do want to ask you, what does that do for you to know that you have come to a place where what you are presenting out of starting off as a fan, just like Dan Madsen did and others have done, that now you've got actual creators of the show that are hailing to things that you're talking about?
It feels a little bit surreal, but totally awesome, because I spent my whole life not knowing what I wanted to do when I grow up. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but TREKYARDS is our full-time gig. I make a living at it, and I'm just talking about Star Trek, something I love. And like you said, I mean, we're friends with a lot of the producers, all of the designers.
That's cool.
Doug Drexler, Rick Sternbach, John Eves, Andrew Probert. So, and if you would have told me that I would be friends or even talk to these people like 10 years ago, I would have told you were crazy. So it's really exciting to know that they watch our content, and people like Mike McMahon, who are in charge of Lower Decks, and his exact quote was, "TREKYARDS holds us to task." And I think that's a little scary.
Nice.
It's a little scary, but it's very flattering. Like we just did it because we love it, and that's why we continue to do it. We don't, it just kind of surprises us.
You already answered a question I was going to ask you. Is this your full-time job now? Star Trek is your full-time job.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
It's weird.
How many fans would love to do that? The closest I can get to that is I've got a good friend, John Penman, who develops, he's a hat maker. He started out, he was a retired, disabled firefighter. And to find things to do, he started learning how to make the Indiana Jones fedora. And he made probably the most exacting screen-ready fedora in all its details. And it wasn't inexpensive. And he would go to all these shows. And he called me one day. He says, "Dude, I was just at such and such convention. I saw William Shatner." He says, and he normally is somebody you don't get to talk to all that much at the big shows. He'll sign the autographs and so on. And he said, he looked up and he goes, "Where did you get that hat?" And he said, "Well, I make them." And he said, he stood up and came around, took me by the elbow backstage and wrote down his private cell phone number. "Call me because I would like to get one of those." And so he sold one to Shatner. And then who else? It was like everybody in Star Trek started buying one. You had Shatner bought one. You had Brent Spiner, who played Data, folks. He bought a couple of them. You had Australian actor playing McCoy in the movies.
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban. He bought a couple. And so there was one day I get a call from my friend, and he says, "Scotty, you will not believe what I'm doing right now." I said, "What are you doing?" He was at a convention. He says, "I'm out to lunch at a restaurant, sitting at a table with William Shatner." He says, I think he said Brent Spiner was there. There was somebody else there. I don't remember. And he mentioned the last Doctor Who, the male Doctor Who, the Scottish actor.
Peter
I can't
Capaldi.
think of his name. Michael Capaldi.
Peter.
And he says, "I'm sitting here at a table with all these guys, and they're all buying my hats." And so it was very cool. Anyway, so I understand from another friend what it must be like to
Yeah.
be that looked to in your field. So especially when it's your hobby turned into your profession.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, especially go to a Star Trek convention now because people recognize me. Fans come up to like, I love TREKYARDS or I love you, Captain Foley.
Nice.
And then when I met Anthony Rapp, I went up to just say hi to him, and he's like, "Captain," like he knew who I was because
Nice.
So that shocked me immensely. But yeah, it's pretty surreal, I gotta say.
And Ruben Fast Horse is back with us. Ruben, sorry we had to have you try again, but we were having problems with your sound and we couldn't understand you. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
A little bit. Go ahead and say what you want to say, Ruben. Ask your questions or say what you want to say.
I'm so fascinated. My father, I've told my Chia in my Lakota language, Native American Sioux Indian, as a teacher, Scotty, Chia is older brother. So I'll call you that, Captain Foley.
Misu is
Chia.
younger
I'm
brother.
Misu. I'm little brother. I'm 51 years old. Anyway, but my father brought me onto the deck of the black and white Star Trek as a kid with William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, Live Long and Prosper.
Yes.
And Kapla, which comes from our language, which is Kapla. I think they stole from the Sioux Indians, Lakota Nation of South Dakota, where it is a good day to die.
Wow, that's cool.
It is a good day to die, and that's what our warriors would say before going into battle. Hookah hey, and they go in Crazy Horse, Sitting Bull.
Okay, it is a good day to die.
It's a good day.
Or as Worf would say, it is a good day to die.
Yeah, blah blah, whatever it may be. But the thing I find most interesting about that, my father was forthwith enough to know that America needs to stand by itself, just like the Federation, bringing in everybody and anybody, Klingon as well as other nations, whether or interplanetary people, to help us become better. And Scotty can help me on this. In First Contact, there's a great line by Patrick Stewart that says, he says, when he brings Woodard, the actress, Blackwood, Andre Woodard, I believe, I'm not sure. I met her at the DAPL Dakota Access panel.
Alfie Woodard.
I met her and took a picture with her, and she was in support of our not having a pipeline going through our Standing Rock Sioux reservation in North Dakota. And she was there with another rock star. Anyway, long story short, Patrick Stewart said, the acquisition of wealth is not the driving force of who we are. Because she asked, where's your money? What are you doing? How do you acquire things? How did you make the spaceship and whatnot? And I love that line. I love that line where the acquisition of wealth is not the driving force anymore of who we are, but to better ourselves, And I, as a Native American person and as a teacher from preschool to NYU, speaking at the United Nations 4 times, I believe the same thing. I've traveled to 5 countries. I've been an ambassador of Native American people to the world. I believe the same thing, like Scotty does with Star Trek and what my father taught me. Star Trek was so profound in the sense that Lieutenant Luru and Captain James Kirk did the first interracial kiss, which was precedent. Nobody ever did that. And she had a visitor, and she wanted to quit. And she had a visitor named Dr. Martin Luther King knock on her door and say, don't quit. We need you. And she stayed on.
that's the impact this series had. This is why I'm sure Stuart was the things that, and I was going to ask you about this, Stuart, too. Hey, Ruben, I'm going to let you go because I'm going to finish this interview with Stuart. Thank you for coming in.
Nice meeting you.
And I'll talk to you soon, Misu. Have a good night. I was going to ask you too. Oh, I see your pug in the background. We have a pug mini English bulldog mix, and she looks kind of like that. Yeah. So, what are the things that impressed you the most? Are they the typical things that we hear from every fan of the original, or what they grew up with as a kid? That's the messages of Star Trek as opposed to just the action of Star Trek. What is it that drew you in? What do you remember as being? It doesn't have to be a specific episode. I'm just thinking, what is some of the first messaging that you got out of Star Trek? You went, wow, this is a little more than just a science fiction series. There's something that draws me into this.
That's a very good question. And I don't even know how to respond to that. Just the kind of what he just said, the fact that it's so influential to so many people, and just casting one person in, a role that was not typical at the time. Like Gene Roddenberry's vision of like all of us working together and overcoming our conflicts to better ourselves, I guess. It's kind of the cop-out answer, I guess, but that's all I can come up with.
All right.
Plus the ships are cool. I always love the ships.
Are way cool. Yeah. What do you think of the new the new old Enterprise? Because Pike's Enterprise, it became Kirk's Enterprise. So I wasn't all, as I've already mentioned, wasn't all that thrilled with the portrayal of Kirk. Nothing wrong with the actor himself. I just didn't think he fit the part the same way that I would have hoped or expected. But let's get to the ship. What do you think of the ship and the new design of the old Enterprise? How did that affect you when you first saw it? What do you like the best about it? What's your overall take on the Enterprise and Strange New Worlds?
Well, the Enterprise is, in my mind, it's one of the characters of the show, and it is probably one of my favorite characters. So the Strange New Worlds Enterprise is a nice design. It looks really great. It was designed by John Eaves. The problem is, when it was designed by John Eaves and signed off on, it had straight struts like it did in TOS. So instead of the swept back pylons of more like the refit style. And the visual effects guys changed it after it was signed off with the straight ones. That's one of our little niggles that we have with the show, both me and Samuel, is the fact that we just wish the pylons were straight and the hull was white. The redesign is fine. It's a nice rebooted Enterprise. I think it would have been beautiful for the 2009 film for a rebooted Enterprise, because I can't stand the Enterprise in 2009. But the one I really appreciate is the TOS one. It's classic. It looks great from every angle. This new one, if you look at it from the front and the side, it's a little bit squat compared to the original one. The original one has a little bit of longer neck, and it feels a little bit more proportionally accurate. But the new one is great. And don't get me wrong, I do like it. And I was excited to see it. But I just wish it would, because it is pre-Kirk, I just wish they would have kept some of the elements. Like the hull is a little bit too dirty and a little bit too busy. And, Star Trek was all about simple. That's one of the reasons that the original Enterprise had such a smooth outer hull, because Matt Jeffries envisioned it that things were so advanced that you wouldn't need to go outside.
You aren't going to see the nuts and bolts sticking out.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly right. So I do like the new one. Don't get me wrong. John Hughes is a brilliant guy. It's a fantastic design. It looks great in motion. Looks good on the show. But to me, it's just it's a reimagined TOS. So it's not the classic beauty, and it's not technically Prime. So you got to fly
on my screen and camera. I hate to say this, we've got less than a minute left. Best place that people can find you?
YouTube. Just look up TREKYARDS, all one word. And we're on all social media, Twitter and Facebook as well. We have a great Facebook presence.
If you want to stick around for a couple of minutes, in about 15 seconds, we got to do the show exit for the radio audience. you can stick around for the captain's cabin for a couple of minutes. So everybody over listening on radio, I just want to tell you right now what we do every night. Live long and prosper. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me your time and spending it here. Good night.
Thank you for having me.
Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid Radio Program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
All right, guys, we are off air over at Odyssey Radio, and welcome to the captain's cabin. Stuart, this was dubbed the captain's cabin by the audience when we were looking for a name for the after show, the afterglow of the show. And it became, everybody calls me captain, and so it became the captain's cabin. And I think it's more a pirate captain than a starship captain, which is what I'd rather be. But, I'll take
it. Works.
This is my friend Dave Potter. He is Uncle Dave Potter.
Hello, sir.
We call him Uncle Dave.
Longtime follower of TREKYARDS.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
It's a great show, Captain.
And so I know he was dying to have you on here. So he popped up while the show was still going out. He was popping into the chat or into the
I waited.
feed. So if you can stick around for a couple of minutes, I think Dave probably wants to throw a couple of things at you or ask you a couple of things.
Absolutely.
On a personal level.
So what are your thoughts on the interior sets for the Strange New World? I love them. I love the way they've done Pike's quarters and all that stuff. But clearly, Kirk got shortchanged on the redesign. It's like
he did.
Yeah. You could have this yeoman's room for your quarters over here.
Yeah, the dorm room.
Well, that's the thing. It's a redesign because Pike's Enterprise has a crew of 230. Kirk has a crew of 430 inside the same ship. So a lot of internal changes would have had to been made, cutting down those big quarters. I do love the aesthetic. It looks great. But again, I think Enterprise in Amir Darkly, when they showed the TOS Defiant, TOS Constitution class, I think they did a much better job of recreating how it should look because it's a period piece, right? So
nice. Yep.
Well, and I loved on DS9 when they did the bounce back to the Tribbles episode. That was great.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean in TNG and Relics where Scotty recreated the bridge on the holodeck.
Yes. Yes.
Enterprise and Amir Darkly.
Not bloody DS9. A, B, C, or D.
Yeah. And then DS9 Trials and Tribulations, they treated it like it should be treated. It's a period piece. That's how it looked. Doesn't matter. You shouldn't be redesigning it, but what do I know? Yeah. And you got to pardon me. I'm ready to swear a blue streak about the flies. Me too. I had one buzzing since the beginning.
Here on radio,
it's crossing through a portal and just buzzing back and forth past both of you.
Doing something. They were crawling across my camera lens.
Yeah,
I realize that me and Scotty have way too much in common. The wife thing, the fly thing, the Star Trek history. It's kind of
the kids popping in.
Rainey, you should come over and say hi to Stuart since you're in the room. My wife's studio is on that side of the room here, and
nice.
We're divided.
This is actually my wife's office in our library. I'm at her desk right now. My desk is downstairs.
Nice. But we've got the nice big family room down here. In this place is now our studios, and so we have got the sofa running down the middle, which is the great gulf fixed between the two studios.
That's great.
So When
The
she's done
neutral
doing
zone.
what she's doing, she's going to come over and say hi. Yeah, the neutral zone is the sofa. So, oh, she's coming. She's coming. Here, I'm going to take off. I can take off my headsets now. Here she comes. Rainey, this is my wife, Rainey.
Hi.
There's Stuart Foley.
Nice to meet you.
And I can take that out.
Nice to meet you.
So,
Yeah.
Hey, babe.
Yeah, my hair's all wonky.
I was going to say something weird going on
Here,
there.
hold on, we'll fix it.
Oh. So Rainey and I do a Sunday morning show, and so she's always
Is
on.
that better?
And always
Oh,
comes
yeah,
in
that's good.
baits.
Thanks.
So I just wanted you to be able to say hi.
Okay. Hi. I'm gonna go back to work.
Meet Stuart, and I'll help you with that as soon as I'm done here.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
So,
Nice to meet
Stuart,
you,
what's
too.
your favorite ship?
TOS Enterprise or the refit, depending on the day. Kind of switches out. I can't get away from the classic, unfortunately. Besides that, though, I'm a big fan of the Ambassador class, like the Enterprise C, which is weird because I hated it for years. And then I actually built
The C,
model.
I didn't like the C.
Yeah, then I built the model. And when you hold a model in your hand and get to look at it from all angles, you appreciate it more. And now it's one of my favorite designs. I love the Ambassador
Nice.
class.
The one that I've fallen in love with is the refit from the Enterprise, from the X. What's its number? X.
Oh, the NX.
NX. But they did a refit and put a neck in there, and I love that.
All I've got right now is the toy. You know, this one with the
Yeah. That's the Diamond
Yeah,
Select. That's a good one.
So that's it, and that's got the upright struts and all that. So I love the original Enterprise. I would like to get a nicer big model of this and build it.
I got a
and do all the
350
lights.
scale. It's like
Do
34
you?
inches long. I built it myself.
Did you do all the lights and
Nice.
everything? And
Yep. Actually, I can show
Nice.
you. I'll take you into
show
the
me,
other.
show it. Yeah, show us.
Take you into my ready room. Hold
Are
on.
you on Trek Models?
What's that?
Are you on Trek Models? It's a
No.
Facebook group for people that build
Well-
starships and stuff.
I am on it, yes. And we also have a TREKYARDS model page as well. So.
And by
on
the way,
Facebook.
this is Professor Bauer who has joined the show. He usually comes into the captain's cabin as well. Meet
Hello.
Stuart Foley.
Howdy,
Live
Prof.
long and prosper. Nice to meet you, Captain Foley.
Nice to meet you too. Hold on. Can I change the forward camera? I think I can. Yes. Back camera. There we go.
Boom. Nice.
Oh my!
Very
Hold on
nice.
a second. There it is. The motors and the nacelles are a little bit loud, so
Okay.
there we go.
Sweet.
Uh,
Look at that,
just-
baby.
Hold on one second. I just got to change a setting here. There we go. There we go. And this is my first lit model that I ever built.
Say it, June Shasta, in the chat room.
That is gorgeous.
Very nice.
Even got the little bridge.
Oh, look at that. Get the bridge.
Yeah,
I just saw
that was
something
fun to
on.
paint and light.
I'll bet painting
So
like that
you
thing.
built that by hand from scratch?
Yep.
Wow.
No. It's the Polar Lights kit. Polar Lights 350 kit. It's a beautiful kit.
Ah,
Very nice. All right, seeing you're seeing the picture of Kirk there on the wall, and also just seeing the flash of the cartoon version of you. Green or gold? When I was a kid, and I got the first edition of the Star Trek technical manual back in the early to mid 70s. And they said the color of Kirk's shirt was Tenne, Tennne, which
Yes.
was what the hell's a Tenne? And they said it was green, but we got the explanation of the camera and the lights and how it would change the color from show to show. What's the when I saw Captain Pike first come on in Discover, and he had that bright yellowy gold shirt, I said, no, that is so wrong.
Yeah.
So what is it? What's the real color?
It's actually in person. It's kind of a green tinge to it, but you put it in front of any camera and it changes yellow. So yeah, it does have a green tinge to it.
That figures.
Just the way the velour goes.
Well,
I
I like the green.
Yeah.
I like the green. I like the little wraparound. I had a friend, Rocky Stucci, who I did radio with. Everybody here knows Rocky Stucci, and we've all done radio with him. And he's, big Italian dude, and he's like, hey, and he's like, what's with this Trek Wars show you watch so much? And some of it's just him having fun with it, but he said, I did it, Scotty, about 6 months ago. He says, I finally started watching on Netflix the original series. And he says, I just got one question for you. He says, what's with that weird little, his own language, what's that weird little gay green sweater thing the captain wears? And I said, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. And I said, that's one of his uniforms. So now that one never turned colors on screen. So
I think it was a different material.
And I like that everyone's done a version of it.
Yeah.
They had Archer wearing it when he was
Yep.
In Amir Darkly, yeah.
Yeah, and they gave Pike one that's different, but you can see where it's connected in style. So
I thought Pike's was pretty cool. You know what I really liked was in the season finale of season 1 of Strange New Worlds, the red uniform that you first saw in the Wrath of Khan. You got Pike
Monster
wearing
Maroon.
that. And again, I don't want to give any spoilers away here, but
if you
Pike
haven't watched
wearing
the
that
episode by now, you're not a fan.
That's right. That's right.
The problem is we do comparison videos on uniforms all the time. It's actually quite a bit different than the original one, and a little bit sloppier looking.
Oh, I thought I loved what they did with the sleeves, with the the little mini burned in icons, Star Trek.
They must have bought a lot of that fabric. They try to use it in everything.
It's silicone printed fabric. It's hard to get a hold of.
So it's sloppier in what way?
Cosplayer's nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Well,
so I've got.
What did you find was sloppier about that one? About
the cut of the front flap and the long strap. The long strap didn't work. I like the shorter one.
Yeah.
Plus, they changed the strap from cloth to a leather. It's a faux leather. If you zoom in on it, it just doesn't look as good.
Oh, right.
And it cuts at a different angle. The flap does.
Yeah, it looks awful. It looks almost fan made.
I'm a costumer, so I notice that stuff first.
And they also put shiny red stripes on the pants instead of just the regular red.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Ellery.
There's a spider crawling on my ceiling.
There you go.
Well, Uncle Dave is way over in Minnesota, so I can't do anything about it.
Don't use your hands, use your bare feet, and you can get it. You want to use it? You just came for my phone. Don't buy anything.
I'm hugely arachnophobic, and when Kaylee was at that age and came in like, oh, there's a spider in my room, she's freaking out. I'll get it. And Amy looked at me like, I'm going to have to follow you, aren't I?
It's interesting that, and I'll get to you, Professor Bauer. I realize I haven't hardly even said hi yet.
I've got a question I'd like to ask Dan.
Let me just add a little anecdotal story about my little daughter Ellery there. She just came to get my phone, and that's why I gave her the eye. She charged a $99 game on the phone tonight to Rainey's bank account.
Oh my goodness!
You wanna talk about blue streaks and being uttered? That was not a happy moment. And so she was banned from the phones, but now she just came and got my phone because all was better. We got it fixed with the bank, but oh man. What was that, Brianna? Say that again louder over in the chat room. All right. Here, I'll put it up on screen. There you go. Thank you, Brianna. We appreciate that.
That's right, because it ain't going to lick itself.
That's right. That's our old neighbor. So, Mr. Bauer, Professor Bauer, welcome to the Captain's Cabin, where
Well,
you
thank you very much. When
are
I saw
usually here every night.
Well, it just depends on if I walk by the studio, and my timing seems to kind of fall right about now. But I had a question, really for all of you, but in particular, Captain Foley there. And it relates to this. I am probably, I'm not sure about Scotty and Dave, but I actually saw the very first episode the night that it aired back in 66, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was 9 years old, and I actually remember the friend of mine from elementary school. His name was Wayne Lamont, tall, skinny black kid with a great big fro.
Here, take that to Mom.
And he and I, with several others, buddied around all the time. And we had heard that there was some kind of new space show coming on, and that we really wanted to catch it. So we went to his, I think it was his aunt's house, and we sat there in front of a black and white TV with the rabbit ears, and we watched that and just I became a Trekker from then on. Okay. And
Trekkie.
so
You were a Trekkie.
I'm a Trekker. I started earlier.
No. That's not how it works.
Trek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
you tell him,
so
Stuart. Take him to
I
task.
became a Trekkie and followed all of it since then. My favorite series was The Next Generation on multiple levels. But my question is this. So when I first saw that, and we sat there and we're just going, what happened here? And then became, just immersed in it. I even had a Saturn. I had my own 1701C, was it C? Model that they had come out with then. And it was a few years later. But I had a Saturn V with the command module and the LEM. And remember the Pan American, it was back in the 60s and 70s. They had this model of this giant space plane. It was Pan American, and
they used it in 2001.
Yes, that's right. So I had all that, and I became so enthralled by the whole concept of what those images and those symbols and the ships and the story represented. What was your experience when you first saw the first episode, and did you have anything like that, or what was your experience?
Like I said to Scotty at the beginning of the program, I don't remember my first experience with Star Trek. I was born in 74, and my brothers were already huge fans. There's like a 7-year age gap between me and my oldest brother. And I just always had Star Trek around. It was always playing. My brothers were always watching it. I don't remember what my first memory is. I wish I could remember, but I have no idea. I have no idea. So unfortunately, I can't answer that question. I wish I could. But
that's all right. And by the way, I'll just tell you, Stuart, anytime you want to jump off, if you got other things you got to do, I told you 30 to 40 minutes. And so you've been here about an hour now.
So I'm going to ask a question out of the chat room here. And it was asked earlier, and I can't scroll back to it for some reason tonight, but I think it was June that asked, why is the bridge always put on the top?
That's one of the four Starship design rules. The bridge should be on the top so you get a sense of scale. You're in the bridge all the time. You always see the inside of the bridge. So that's why they put it on the very top of the ship, so you can see how big it is from the outside, so you get a sense of scale for the rest of the ship.
That's the bridge right there.
Yep, that top little dome.
That lighting up part.
And that's one of the reasons it's there. It's like, and as Doug Drexler says, it's like a superhero crest on the front of Superman. It's there. That's where the bridge is. Design flaw, maybe, but you're only as good as
it's a big giant target.
You're only as good as your technology and your shield. So if they go down, no matter where you are on the ship, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, the Federation class Dreadnought, they moved the bridge to the center of the saucer in those blueprints.
Which is where I'd put it.
Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
What do you? What's your thoughts on the Discovery ship? I don't remember the designation of that, but the one with the mycelium drive.
Yeah, the Crossfield class. Not the biggest fan. It's a cool enough design, but it's just not appropriate for TOS. The nacelles, the whole design is just, if it was like post Nemesis after the last TNG movie, awesome, but it doesn't fit the design aesthetic, and that's just another Brian Fuller directive, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, that was one of my big problems too.
Yeah, but Brian Fuller said no cylindrical nacelles on any of the Federation starships. That was one of his directives when he started. So they designed all this shit, and then Brian Fuller left, and they're stuck with everything because they already have it all built. So they kind of had to use what they had.
And the expense to make those things too is not as cheap as people might think. Throwing them together a prop. When I saw something, what was it I was watching? It was a mini behind the scenes on Will Wheaton's show. Not the
Captain's Ready Room.
Is that what he's called? The Ready Room?
Yeah.
Or is it? Okay. And they showed something about the making of the phaser props.
Yeah.
And the guy who designed them, he said, was wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. Beautiful being able to take something that already exists and to try to create something out of it. Oh, I think he was talking about Picard, the series, when he developed some of those. And then I saw him again when he was doing it for Discovery or Strange New Worlds. But he said that building that hand phaser as a single prop, the first one they did, that cost over $8,000 just to build that little prop and remodel it, remake it, recast it, whatever they did. I don't know if I saw a close-up of one of those on your video on YouTube and TREKYARDS, Stuart, and it looked like in the close-up that you could see the lines of digital printing. Was that made by a 3D printers? Is that how they're doing all that stuff now?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and going back to Discovery for just a second, that ship was designed by committee. John Eves submitted a really beautiful design that, like, we want to make a change. It went through like 50 design iterations. So it was too many cooks in the kitchen design.
Yep.
And that's one of the main problems, because back in TNG and Voyager days, they had a week to design a ship and get the model made or the CG model made. So you didn't have like this luxury of like 2-year lead up to your show. So yeah, unfortunately, design by committee just doesn't work.
So in the future, they're going to check with you first, right? Before they do any new ships?
Yes. That's why I laughed
very
when
cool.
we interviewed Mike McMahon from Lower Decks, and he's like, TREKYARDS holds us to task. Every time we add a ship or make a design alteration, we're like, what's TREKYARDS going to say about this? Are they going to be cool with this? So I think that's hilarious.
Ryan Gale says, I saw some Next Generation props at the traveling exhibit, and they were pretty poor quality. He said he was looking at the props. It's like, what do you have to say about that? They're props. They're TV props.
The toys actually look better than the actual props.
Especially TNG ones. Like a lot of the older props just don't look good in person. Not only just the years of wear
and I
tear,
mean, the toys nowadays look better than the prop.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, some of the props in person just don't work.
I did a group of Klingons for a large convention.
Anyway, as you can see,
from
like
TNG.
these, this is the. Go ahead, Stuart. I'm sorry.
That was me.
Every time I do this, I want to quote Kirk from The Wrath of Khan. Damn. Put my readers on.
That's good.
I can't remember who makes these. This is not the date on this is 1994.
Let me see it. Is it?
What's on the back of this?
That one. That's a Playmates. I think I have that one.
That's Playmates. Yep.
Yeah.
And this one is Playmates as well.
Yes.
So that came with it.
Yeah, that's a chunkier phaser. The Diamond Select ones are more prop accurate, but I really like
this.
Those
I think this is the Diamond Select.
Yep.
And I got tape on the back of that two-sided. Yeah. There's the two of them side by side.
Yeah, one's chunkier, but I almost prefer the feel of the Playmates one to the actual, like, more accurate one.
Yeah, the feel of that. I always thought the trigger was wonky on these. And then, of course, you got this got dropped or something because it's not, the hand phaser comes out, but it's got something wonky in there now. So I got a bunch of these. I used to have a whole display with my swords. I had all the phasers lined up on the wall.
I got a whole bunch downstairs. So
yeah.
So I'm sorry I missed the beginning of the show. What's the consensus on the new series, Strange New Worlds?
2 thumbs up. Yeah. Best new live action Trek since.
Totally agree. So, anyways, years ago during TNG, I did a group of Klingons, and apparently the first one to do that at the time. And I was working out in Hollywood, so I just picked up the phone and called over to the costume department and spent an hour and a half on the phone with the guy that was designing and got the specs on how they were doing everything and permission to make them since I wasn't selling them and such. And we did the robes and the quilted robes and the whole bit. And they look great. They look great. They weren't exactly screen accurate, but we were on a time constraint. But
I remember you guys back then. That was over 30 years ago. You were doing that.
We also did a Next Generation mirrored universe where I did leather jackets for everybody. So they wore black pants and like tank tops under, and then we had leather jackets, some with sleeves and some without sleeves, that were cut like the top of the tunic, so they were asymmetrical and such. And then had and then we did a communicator pin based on the original pin that they had with the planet with the dagger through it, and we did a galaxy because we figured Next Generation, they've moved on from just where they're at, that they're now the Empire would be conquering the galaxy. So we did a galaxy with the dagger through it.
Nice. I like that.
Well, there you go. Changing canon, Dave.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Way to go.
Well, Stuart, I don't want to keep you all night. I mean, you can stay as long as you want. We're going to talk for a little bit and then be done. But I don't want to keep you on be sensitive to your time. And I appreciate you being here. I love seeing your background, your props and everything that are sitting up there. Just awesome.
Probably should have done the show from in here, honestly, but
yeah.
I was trying to mirror your background with your swords and your bows.
Oh, yeah.
Never go wrong with
swords. This is static. It's this way all the time. So maybe I should do a Trek one for the next studio. We'll have to see.
I got a few different backdrops around the house for my different videos. So
yeah. By the way, are you in Canada? Are you from Canada?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. I just hear it in your voice every now and then. You said house.
You said Great White North at the beginning. Where are you from?
I missed
Minnesota and Wisconsin. So.
Oh, me? Where am I from?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're Minneapolis, St. Paul area, but we're across the border into Wisconsin.
Gotcha.
So, it's up here. It's Wisconsin. Minnesota. That's it. Minnesota.
That's funny. I'm from London, Ontario. I'm from London, Ontario, Canada, and my partner from the UK is about 40 minutes outside of London. So we're both from London, kind of. It's kind of funny.
London has a large footprint.
We got a little brain freeze going on with him. He's 40 minutes outside of what?
London, England.
I missed some of that. Sorry. Oh, out of London. I've seen him talking.
I think your signal's bad.
You ain't from around here, are you? So, is it my signal that's creating a problem? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it has been all night. Yeah.
Oh, I just learned my kid, 10-year-old girl, is in the room on 4 different devices. What do I got going? That cuts into my signal when I'm doing radio. You know that.
Do you know that if I'm not doing this, this is social suicide, Dad?
Social suicide? You're committing social suicide right now?
No.
Mom,
hello, Rowan.
Go help her with social suicide?
So Rowan here is in her room on 4 devices.
Leave me alone.
Flynn is upstairs on 3 devices. Ellie is in her room on 2 devices. And I'm over in my side on my devices, but only 2.
when I was her age,
And
we
we
had a
wonder what the
13-inch
this week tonight.
a 13-inch black and white Panasonic television
With 3
That's what we had.
channels. 3 channels.
Zenith with 3
And a
channels.
UHF.
Yeah, and UHF, but maybe you could get 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay,
Depending on how you stood in the room.
Go shut
Yep.
off some of your stuff.
So, you can. All right. So much for that familial interlude. You know, I don't know how many times I've told them, if you want to watch TV, you can watch TV, be on your phone. When I do radio, you're tapping our internet. We're out in the country, so we don't have the best
Yeah.
internet to begin with.
We're not in the country.
Kinda.
Not on.
You go that way 3 minutes, you hit farmland.
That's not country because you go 3 more minutes and it's development.
Okay. We're
They're out in the country.
We're in the
an hour and
country.
a half to drive out there. They're out in the country.
Yeah, we're in the country. This is farm community out here.
They
Our
have
whole
a street with
downtown
houses on
area-
it, but it's out in the country.
Our entire downtown area in Somerset, Wisconsin, is about a
6
half a block
buildings.
long.
6 buildings.
And then there's a hardware store about a half a mile up the road and a gas station. So there you go. All
Well,
right.
you got a Walmart in the next town. That's got to be something.
Yeah, it's got to be. What you mean? I gotta see. We used to live in the city, Stuart, and so everything was like, you know, the city's one thing because everything's all around. If you're driving to the other part of town, it could take you 40 minutes, but you're in town still.
Yeah.
You got to deal with traffic. Here we're like, I got to drive 12 minutes to get to Walmart. Screw that. I'm not doing it.
You drive for 40 minutes and you've passed through 4 towns.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I grew up in the country. I can relate.
And there it is. All
All
right,
guys, I'm gonna get going though.
Captain
Thank
Foley.
you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for
Nice to
being
meet
here.
you.
Yeah,
Great
nice
collection.
meeting you guys.
Thanks
I'll
for
say
taking
howdy
the
the
time.
next time I'm over on your show.
Please do. Appreciate it.
All right, sir.
You,
You have a good night,
you too. Bye, guys.
and we'll talk to you soon. All right. I'm not gonna stay much longer tonight.
Oh, really?
I
Because
think that
Mr.
was-
Bauer and I were going to talk about time travel.
Not tonight, you're not.
You can go about your business and we'll just take over the show.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I got other stuff. So, so what about time travel? You got 2 minutes. Go. No, we'll do. Let's do time travel like tomorrow night or Wednesday night. Let's plan a night for it, and we'll take some time and do that.
I
Better
think that,
yet,
I think that the two things that we really need to explore in the whole concept of time and travel, because you got to
Minute
separate the
45.
two to make sure that you've got, you're zoning in on definitions you agree with, right?
Yeah.
Because, or at least have a full plate of definitions for, because by God, there is just a ton on just each word, let alone putting them together. So when you put them together and you get past figuring out what time is and what travel is, then you look at the two different delineations of where it occurs. It's either in the etherium or it's in the materium. And that is where the crazy shit happens.
the
Because
materium or the Ethereum.
the split on either one, the split between the two, because time and travel have both those ethereal as well as material,
Rainey said it's in the cafeteria.
right?
She don't know nothing.
Oh,
So-
don't ever say that. Don't ever say that.
Oh no. That was my faux ignorant Scotty talking. I would never say that about my wife.
But yeah, let's do a show on time travel, because there's a bunch of very interesting, bizarre, compelling ways in which this time and travel have been put together, and then what that means.
Well, and there's some interesting videos that have been popping up online that make
Yeah.
you go, what's going on there?
You know,
Yeah,
2
and-
weeks from now, Rainey goes to Alaska with Flynn. And I'll have my evenings will be. I'll just be here with the two girls.
Oh
I'll
my
put them
God.
to bed.
Yeah, we'll get
Oh,
some
yeah.
shows in. Right.
Yeah.
Sounds
So,
like a good formula.
there it is.
Maybe I'll have to park the motorhome outside.
Yeah. All right, you guys, I'm going to take off. I got stuff
All
to
right.
do.
Sounds great.
And for 10:30 at night. And
Everyone in the
we'll be
chat
back
room,
tomorrow
good
night.
seeing you all.
Let's shoot for Wednesday night to do time travel talk. That'll
Wednesday
work.
night
for me.
works.
We need a flux capacitor, said Ryan Gale. I agree. Gadzooks! All right, guys. You have a
Cheers,
good evening.
gentlemen. Everybody.
Professor Bauer,
Good night.
live long and prosper. Good night. All right, folks, it's just us. And I'm going to get out of here too. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me your time. Thanks for being part of the show tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow night, same time. So for now, live long and prosper.
Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid radio program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.